It doesn't matter who you are or where you live, as long as you're a human being, life will throw you a curveball. It might be the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, the loss of your own ability to function in this body the way you always function. Anyway, it impacts your life, it impacts your business. Today's conversation is one of those conversations that will leave you at the source of being able to deal with whatever life throws at you. Because our guest, who I'm about to introduce to you, has done just that. Her name is Michelle Cleveland. Michelle has a remarkable journey, a voyage not just across landscapes, but into the very heart of human connection. In September 2022, she made a life-altering decision. Now, I don't know if it was just life-altering, or you might say a little bit faithful. Selling her house to embark on a mission to save lives. Over the course of this transformative journey, Michelle has covered over 40,000 miles, traversed 30 states and one Canadian province on a motorcycle. The roots of Michelle's advocacy run deep, reaching back to 2016 when she faced the unimaginable tragedy, losing two of her children to suicide. This devastating experience ignited a passionate commitment to preventing others from enduring the same heart-wrenching fallout. She founded Project 24/7, dedicating to bringing about positive change in the realm of suicide prevention, providing a new tool in the fight against suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, I want you to meet your new best friend, Michelle Cleveland. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Sorrel. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. So
Now,
I wanted to set the stage and start this conversation with a poem that I wrote that's a framework for the book. It's called Steps in the Sand, How to Help a Grieving Friend. And the poem is titled The Beach. And it's an explanation to those who have not gone through the grief journey of really what it's like to lose someone and to live with grief. So if you'll allow me, I'll just read the poem.
oh, please, please.
It feels like you're drowning in the middle of an ocean, the currents tossing you in every direction. You hope hands will reach out and pull you to the surface, or even guide you to shallow water. Somehow you find yourself within sight of the shore, and many helping hands think you can make the rest of the way safely. Others realize there are waves that can still pull you under, so they swim with you to the water's edge. Only a few remain until you are upright, walking with the sand beneath your feet. In those early days, waves still catch you off guard and knock you down as you move farther from the water. Bit by bit, you make your way along the beach, but as the tides ebb and flow, waves large and small still launch an assault. You never know when they're going to hit, you just know they're out there. You hope others will take steps in the stand with you from time to time, but you realize you will never leave the beach.
Mm, that is beautiful. Michelle, you said earlier that this poem really sets the stage for everything that's in the book. Like every
Mhm.
in the book, every chapter title in the book is anchored in the poem. Somehow there's that thread that
Mhm.
this poem creates. So give us a sense of the journey that you've traversed that this poem creates for the world.
Well, I have had so much contact with others as a result of losing my boys who have also suffered similar losses. And the resonating theme that kept coming up was interaction with others after the loss and the loss of friends, that secondary loss. We all know it's common that once you lose someone, you lose friends. And I got to thinking, why is that? Why do we lose friends? It's not that they're bad people. They wouldn't have been our friends if they were bad people. It's because they don't know what to do. They're scared of saying the wrong thing. And so that's the purpose of this book. The
Mm,
purpose is to give people, to arm people with the knowledge from the other side, and then advice of how they can help. What are useful things that you can do? And always bring a box of tissues.
mhm. So this is really, this book is a gift to humanity. The gift that
I
says,
hope so.
yeah, given the poem, given what you just said, let's just say it is a gift to humanity. If I'm imagining what you're saying is that in a moment in life, when you are at the deepest of the depth of your sadness, the friends who loved you and cherished you and who still do just don't know what to do. And in,
Yep.
and in a moment where they can't figure out what to do, they quote unquote maybe take the easy way out, which is to just fade away and hope that time will
Mhm.
heal. So
Yeah.
if you were to take us through the approach that a friend like that could use to assist someone in the grief journey, how would you paint
Mhm.
how would you paint that approach?
The first thing is remember that their world has changed permanently. This is not something you get over. It's not something that you get through. It's finding a new normal, a new way to live with a big hole, with this new change. If it's a job loss, you have possibly lost your identity and you have to find a new identity. So it's particularly in the case of suicide, there are all the what ifs and did I do this? Did I not do that? The whys that linger.
Yeah,
And so when there's a death in particular, this loss is never going to be over. This loss continues with every event that they would have been involved in. A graduation of their friends from high school or college, and the friends all want to involve you. It's remembering them every day.
yeah.
Um,
So, Michelle, I want to acknowledge something.
mhm,
It's really courageous of you, not only to write this book, but to be in a conversation like this, which inevitably is bringing up to the surface everything, right? That generates the grief that you've
yeah.
through and that you're probably still dealing with. So, did they, I forgot the details, but did both of your sons
Mhm.
commit suicide at the same time or in a sequence?
We lost Thomas on the 7th of March, 2016, and we lost Nicholas on the 1st of April, so less than 30 days apart. And we
Listen,
lost Nicholas because we lost Thomas. Nicholas was very fragile. And as the oldest, he felt some sense of responsibility for not being there for his little brother.
yeah. And at the time, so there you are, March, and then
Mhm.
give us a sense of what descended upon you as a human being, as a mother. What was it like for you at that time?
It was like I described in the poem. I couldn't think of any other way to describe it to people. And that's why I wrote the poem. It was like drowning in an ocean.
Mm.
You're just drowning. You can't catch your breath. And when you come up to the surface and you get a breath, the waves suck you
Pulls
under
you
again.
right back down. Yeah.
And slowly you get your feet under you over time. And I was so blessed to have such wonderful friends all around me. Um, so many people don't, but I was really blessed that my friends had an understanding and were very, very kind and gentle with me and didn't expect me to get over it
Mm.
and understood and still understand that it's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
This is my new normal. Um, there were people at work who would come by my cubicle, people that I knew in passing and barely knew their names. And they
Mm.
would come up to my cubicle and say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And they'd have a hug or a kind word. And those touch points kept me going. And after a while, people would say, "You're such an example of strength to us. We look up to you." And I thought, I don't know these people. How can I be an example to them when I'm hurting? But I realized I was continuing to move. I was continuing to do, and so many others don't.
Mm.
And I found that there were three things, and I share this in the book as well, three elements that kept me going. One was the people all around me. I had people in my community to support me. The second was I knew how to find peace. As a motorcyclist, I could get on my motorcycle and I could scream and cry, and nobody would call the police because I was screaming. And that's where I found peace out in the hillsides. And then I had a purpose. At first, it was my other two children. I had to pay the mortgage, I had to keep a roof over our heads, keep the lights on. And then eventually, I found my voice and found that I had a message to share. And so that's the purpose that keeps me going. So people, peace, and purpose are what kept me going. And it's that resiliency that I found in the other survivors of suicide. It's a group called SOS, Survivors of Suicide. If you or anyone you know has suffered that kind of loss, look for that group. They're a wonderful support group. It's peer led. They're it's a safe space with
Mm.
other people who understand your loss.
So, to the question, how can I best support a friend throughout their grief
Mhm,
journey? You mentioned earlier that what happens that's very traumatic is that at the time people need friends the most, the friends.
mhm.
So, what do you want to say to the people out there who are the friends of people grieving? If you
Mhm.
leave them with a primer, what is that?
Well, there are so many tips and so much advice in this book, but basically things like think of basic needs like food. Sometimes it's a financial strain and they can't afford the groceries. So we call it grief groceries.
Mhm.
And you just send groceries. Don't ask questions like, "Can I bring you some groceries?" When someone's in the throes of grief, making decisions like that is very difficult. And sometimes they don't want to admit that they're struggling. And so just say, "Will you be home between these hours?" Not what time of day, even. Just ask them, "Will you be home in the morning today?" And if you feel comfortable, ask them, "What kind of food do you like to eat? I'd like to send you some groceries. I'd like to send you a little goodie bag." And send those essentials that are easy to prepare, things that you know they like. If you're a good friend, you know they like lasagna, send a lasagna. If you know how to cook and you enjoy cooking, bring them some home cooked food. Immediately after Memorial, there's usually lots of food left in the refrigerator. So wait a week or two. Or another thing you can do is invite yourself over and offer to help clean out the refrigerator
Mm.
because that's sometimes a daunting task. Offer to do those little things, but don't ask, what can I do? Because they don't know. They're just trying to get through the next minute, the next hour, the next day. So don't ask open ended questions. Ask yes or no simple questions. Always, always bring a box of tissues. This
Mm.
lets them know that it's okay to break down around you. It's okay to just be silent and not say anything. And it's okay to just sit and hold hands or hug. You don't have to say anything. Another bit of advice is stay away from platitudes or anything that starts with at least, because that's focusing on the person who's lost. At
Mm.
least they didn't suffer. Well, that's about the person who was lost. Yes, you're trying to make them feel better, but that doesn't help. It just puts salt on the wound.
Yeah. So,
Focus on their feelings. I know you're suffering. I'm here to hold your hand. I'm here to help. And don't put the burden on them to reach out because they can't put themselves together to figure out who to call or to make that call. So check in on them and not just right away that first week or month, just every once in a while in the years to come. Check in, check in with them. And if you feel close enough, mark it on your calendar next year and offer to take them out that day. If there's a grave site, offer to go with them. You're not going to be reminding them of something they've forgotten.
hmm, they'll
That
never
date
forget.
will always be in their body. Even if they forget, their body remembers.
Yeah. Tell me this, Michelle. You
Mhm.
you say no platitude, but you also talk about
Mhm.
impact on you, right? And on the
Mhm.
person who's lost and who's grieving. I'm imagining that
Mhm.
March happened and April happened for you. It rocked your
Mhm.
world.
Yeah.
There's a way you used to function before that. And there anything for you, uh, personality wise, career wise, or something? It was that way one day and then it got broken and literally threw you into a world where you weren't functioning the way you were. Could you give us a sense
No.
of that kind of loss, if there was that for you?
It was so devastating. I started having a heart condition. It's called broken heart. And I ended up with a cardiologist. So there's a physical impact. So it broke me physically. And yes, it broke me mentally. Finally, in 2019, the stress of the grief and apparently PTSD from losing the boys, um, I was unable to work anymore. I was unable to focus or to remember things. At one point, it got so bad that I lost vocabulary. I couldn't remember things like names of colors or the word butterfly, just very simple, common words that I lost out of my vocabulary. And it took a long time to get them back. I'd remember the word the next day, but I didn't have access to that word at the time I needed it. So that level of function was lost, and I lost my job. and I had to apply for disability. It's been a 3-year journey. And so I lost my house because I had no form of income, no means to make a living. And so I've kept going. I haven't lost my life like so many. Um, After suicide, the people at highest risk of suicide are the immediate family and close friends. A lot of people don't know that, but I've been able to keep going. I just pivoted. Well, I can't work, so I can get on my motorcycle and spread the word about suicide prevention. So that's what I did. I took the money that I got from the sale of my house and I bought a more appropriate motorcycle for hitting the road. And that's why I hit the road because I was so broken. And I call it my healing journey because getting on the bike is healing. That's my place of peace. And all over the country, I would visit different friends that I hadn't seen in many years. I visited my cousins I hadn't seen in, get this, 40 years. So I used that time not just for the purpose of spreading my message, but to heal.
Yeah. So you could say that in a way, however dire the circumstances were, maybe they granted you a new life,
Mhm.
purpose. Michelle, I am sure that everyone in the audience, including those listening on Facebook, have something they want to say to you. And you've taught them really how to be with you. No platitudes. And yet, feel free to acknowledge the grief that you're going through and share.
Mhm.
So I'm here holding your hand because I know you're holding the hands of so many others. And I'm inviting others who are here with us to hold your hand and to speak to you. So, who's got something to say, a question, a comment? The floor is yours.
I'm the only one on camera, so I'll go first. I marked my calendar to be here today, and I want to say that I think the book that you wrote, Helping Others to Help People Who Are Grieving, is so needed. And so I first want to say thank you. As you know, I've read little bits and pieces of it along the way, and it's transformed into really a powerful guidebook for people who don't know how to help people with grief. And my question is this: you talk about healing. Do you see the healing with a finish line? Like, do you intend to be healed, or are you healed?
I don't think I'm ever going to be in the real sense that people think of the word healed. It's always going to be an open wound. There are always going to be those times. Um, my oldest son, Nicholas, was homeless. And anytime I see someone who has his build with a sign at an intersection or sitting outside a grocery store, it rips the scab off and I start over again. So, in the sense of being healed, I think that's part of what I'm trying to convey with this book is you'll always have a fragile part and you'll never leave the beach. You just find a way to live with it.
Mhm.
Um, Something I did with the book that, well, I tried to do with the book was to appeal to the different kinds of brain and the different ways that people think. Some people are very much just give me the meat. And other people want to really know the whys behind it. And so the meat of the book is very much identified as grief help. Each chapter section that just has the how-tos is identified as the how-to sections. So you can just go to the meat of it and look for where to help, how to help. But if you want to know the why and the how behind it, you can read the whole thing. But what I really wanted to convey to your point, uh, do you ever heal? You find a new normal.
Thank you. I don't want to tell you your business, Sorrel and Michelle, but I looked on the Facebook explanation. It's kind of hard to find even the name of the book. So you might want to remind folks where to find the book and what it's called. It took me a while to find it.
Okay. Yeah, it's called Steps in the Sand, How to Help a Grieving Friend.
Thank you. And it is on Amazon. Is that where you want people
And
to?
it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you get it for free.
Okay.
And you can get it, in a day or two if you order the paperback. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Tara.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
I appreciate all your help with reading early chapters.
Yeah, you put that together amazingly quickly and well. I'm very inspired.
Well, thank you.
Well, so
My hope is
I want to say one more thing because nobody's got their hand up, and you mentioned something that I really this topic intrigues me, and it's that you said so many people say, "Oh, you inspire me," and I think about you and I feel so encouraged, and you give me strength, and you kind of wonder why. And grief comes in all forms, and I have had folks say that to me over time, and I take it to mean that they are imagining if they were me, that they would be a wreck. And so I kind of wonder if that's left you with a little bit of like, am I supposed to be able to ever smile again? Will people wonder, did I love my children as much as they love theirs because I'm functioning? I've got my pants on straight and I brushed my teeth today.
that never occurred to me.
Well, leave it to
It
me.
really didn't. Yeah. But we all accept what people say to us differently, right? We have our own filters, our life experiences, and other conversations that we filter things through. I never thought that it was intended that way. I never took it that way. And yes, they were seeing that they would have been in a worse state, but I saw it that I was giving them hope.
Oh, absolutely. I just wondered if part of it was you wondering if there were
No.
other thoughts that weren't as beautiful. That's good. I'm glad for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, absolutely.
To repeat, the book is Steps in the Sand, How to Help a Grieving Friend. And I just posted the link from Amazon in the chat. And Tara, thank you. We'll update the post on Facebook to include that as well. Yeah. Florence, go ahead.
Yeah. Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for that book because I have a workmate that lost her son to suicide. And I haven't been able to, I have been in that dilemma as to what to say to her and when to say to her. Because all I did once since it happened, and I know it's quite a few months ago, I don't know if it's a year yet, but all I did was to send her just one day to just say to her, I love you, and I'm sending you hugs, like a really big hug. And I really love her, and I really feel so intensely about what happened with her. and I didn't know how to really proceed. So this has helped me a lot. And I've just decided to go see her and give her that hug that I sent in a text. So this has
Yes.
really helped me.
And Florence, if you have any stories about her son that she might not know, any amusing anecdote or something that he did that was so sweet, some good, happy memory, ask if she'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
And if she'd like to share anything about her son, don't avoid saying his name.
Yeah.
Don't tiptoe around, because they're always in our thoughts anyway. You're not reminding us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
I
you
am
for being a good
emotional.
friend.
Yeah, I'm emotional right now because I love her. I really love her. And it's been rough.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you.
Continue to walk with her, hold her hand, and remember, bring tissues.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Florence.
Yeah,
Michelle,
thank you.
thank you for everything. Especially thank you for the gift of humanity. Steps in the sand. How to help a grieving friend. And perhaps it's really simple. Hold their hand. Let them know you're there. What is your last word or your last sentence?
The last word would be bring tissues, because it does several things. It lets them know it's okay to break down. It's also reminding you that you need to be there in person. Don't just send a text. Be there in person. And words aren't necessary. You don't have to know what to say. Just be there with them.
Thank you, Michelle. You're going to have to come
Very
back.
welcome.
You're going to have to come back and give us a report on where in the world is Michelle with that and what's happening in that part of the world. And
Absolutely.
you making a difference while holding hands with others. So thank you, folks.
Thank you.
You know, the way that Michelle shows up here is only possible because you're here. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, watching the replay, take it on. Take it on. Hold a friend's hand and help them through the grieving. Dr. Monica Ogando loves to say that her daughter tells her that, you know, when we cry together, it goes by faster. And maybe there are no truer words. We'll leave you with our 8 tenets: love, laugh out loud, stress less, eat mostly plant-based, sleep, move, give, and last but not least, check your assumptions. And please, no platitudes. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you here bright and early on Monday morning. The Daily Huddle is on every day, and you can catch us on YouTube at The Daily Huddle. Make it a phenomenal weekend.
Thank you so much for giving me time to talk with you.